I stopped my.
All right. It looks like it is 6 o'clock. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Because we do have a quorum. Looks like there's 5 of us here, and maybe Curtis and Eric will jump on soon. I actually will. Have you haven't heard from them?
No.
Okay. Carrie, since Eric's not here and this is your last hurrah, can you offer up the invocation for us?
Sure. Pray with me. Lord, we just thank you for this day. But we just ask that you be with this board and be with the decisions that we make. May they be what's best for our community, best for our school district, Lord. Lord, we just ask that you be with all those that have been affected with this virus, Lord. You know each and every need there, Lord. Lord, we just ask that you forgive us before we fail you. In Jesus' name we pray and ask it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm having to use a different device to read my agenda. Okay. Do we have any recognition? I mean, I know we don't have any students or people who are present, but none of that.
Mr. Yeah, no recognitions.
All right. Citizen participation.
Yeah, we did not have anybody submit anything for public comment.
Okay. Administrative reports. I know Stacy sent us the financials and everybody's had time to review those. I don't know, Stacy, if you had anything you needed to add or if anybody had any questions.
No, they're just the standard reports unless anybody has questions.
Okay. The dashboard, student enrollments, all that looked good. Principal reports.
High school is gonna go first.
Okay.
All right. You know, since we've last met via Zoom, you know, there hasn't been a lot of activities at the high school, which is really unusual this time of year. So we're trying to sort this thing out just like everybody. You know, I did want to recognize a couple of our students. We've been doing a weekly student of the week nominated by their teachers and then chosen based out of, you know, participation, not just participation, but those that are going to kind of above and beyond what their teachers are asking from them. And so we've had 3 weeks so far. And so I just wanted to recognize those students. Our week 1 students of the week was Madison Wolf, Christian Fuentes, Christian Cantu, and Taylor Jimenez. Our week 2 students of the week was Emily Patterson, Audrey Brewer, Addison Real, Kelly Calcutt, and Gracie Oliver. And then this past week was Shanley Mueller, Nicole Marino, Brescia Applin, and Noah Loving. So you've probably seen those on Facebook and Twitter, but I just, again, wanted to recognize them before the board for their effort and what they're doing. And so we've given gift cards out for those. Those are just like kind of an incentive for our kids to keep working hard and not lose ground as we transition from in-person to online learning. Other than that, you know, we're just continuing to push out the online instruction. We're monitoring it. We're making adjustments as we go. You know, Callie, I heard you ask a while ago about SPED, and Jennifer answered a little bit, but you know, we've had to make some adjustments based on what's in best interest of our special ed students, and so you know, we're monitoring that and keeping up with that, and we've had to change, you know, some of what we're doing with some of them. And so that's not just them, that's kind of all the way around. We're monitoring, you know, to see who's being successful, who's participating, who's being successful in it. And we're having those conversations with parents and students pretty much daily by both me, our teachers, and our instructional aides who've kind of been assigned a group of kids. Outside of that, Miss Mueller, she's doing a great job, you know, with the social, emotional learning part of it and checking in on their mental health. And their emotional needs and stuff like that. And then outside of that, we're going about, regular scheduled business planning for next year. We're getting ready for working on these new programs of study that TEA's putting out, and trying to figure out which ones we're going to offer for, as full completers and so that changes some of our course offerings and what our teachers are teaching. And we're putting out schedule requests for our incoming freshmen through seniors to begin looking at, so that we can begin working on a schedule for next year. And I think I speak for everyone, but we're ready for that to happen, back to in person, have our kids back. So that's really all I got.
All right, middle school.
Well, I'll just go with Mr. Selke. We're doing about all the same. We started the student of the week this week. We were a little bit behind. So we got them some Sonic gift cards. We're going to be sending those out. We decided we're going to do 2 per grade level for 6 weeks. So we'll start sending those Sonic gift cards out later on this week. We're doing about the same thing, working on schedules for next year, which is a good thing. I broke down who all had a fine art today, and who all needed band, and who all needed technology. So, it's just a shame that we're having to work on this now and not in the summer, but that's what we got. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're just trying to stay busy, trying to keep our kids busy, staying on top of it. Really trying to stay on top of our kids doing the work. Our numbers continue to fall down to where we got most work from most students. We still got some that are struggling, but we had a Zoom with the 8th grade parents the other day, and thought it went well. So basically that's what we got going. Just trying to get the kids to, at this point it's kind of, you don't want to go backwards. So we're trying to keep them at least right here. And if some can go forward, that'd be great. But we can keep them on the same level. That's what we're trying to do right now. About all we got at the middle school.
All right, Oliver.
Well, a lot of the same. One of the things we've been focusing on is keeping connection with the kids. We've got, of course, the teachers have been connected every day with their Google Hangouts and things like that. But there are some that are, technology is not there, or parents are working during the day, so they don't have a lot of support during the day. So there was some disconnect in those situations. So our paraprofessionals have all been assigned a group of kids, and then I've met every week with the teachers to kind of talk about individuals and ones that they're not hearing from or they're not getting work from. And I made personal phone calls to several of those. And between the 3 of us, we've been able to pretty much 100% get in contact with every single student at least once a week throughout this. And so it's kind of just been a journey. We, kind of started off just trying to get everybody started, and then kind of got into it pretty hard and heavy the second, third week. And then, so this week we've kind of, and I think middle school kind of got us going on this, was kind of scale back just a little bit and, play some catch up now that everybody kind of knows what the expectation is and that sort of thing. And so we've been trying to make our assignments fun and, but yet rigorous enough that they're learning what they need to learn and get the TEKs that they need and keep moving forward on that standpoint. If you get a chance to talk to our cafeteria workers, you really need to give them a pat on the back. They have really stepped up and done a lot. We've been serving over 200 meals a day out there every single day, and those ladies have a smile on their face and they're enjoying what they're doing. It's great to see. We've worked on getting materials out to kids. Our kindergarten teachers did what they thought was going to be a lot of fun, driving around and passing out materials, and that turned into quite a chore. So we've got a pretty good system now where our paraprofessionals are helping us out and passing those things out during the day in our meal line, and that's worked out great. So I haven't
first grade, I had 2 students that didn't pick up what they needed the first day, and within the second day, those 2 students had come up and picked up. So it's been kind of like that. So parents are ready to send their kids back to school. That's all that's all you hear from everywhere. Is it time for them to go back yet? Is it time for them to go back yet? So hopefully there's a renewed appreciation once we get round to everybody coming back of what we do on a daily basis. So, but we really miss our kids. Like I said, we've been trying to stay connected, and birthday parties. We started off doing our little birthday parades, and then as things have gotten a little changed a little bit, and now we have a little video that's going out to each one of the students on Facebook for their birthday. Just little things like that to try to stay connected. Miss Bryant's been working on some things with the social emotional learning, and just trying to keep things rolling. We've been working on schedules. We've been working on our reading academies for next year. Talked to teachers today about that. They're going to be going to, if things work out the way we want them to, hopefully to some training this summer to get that initiative started and rolling. So we are definitely got some business going. It's not business as usual, but it is definitely business. So we're just chugging along.
All right, on the superintendent's report, start off with the cybersecurity training. Our staff is working towards that. That's through EduHero, and really in this time right now, we're seeing a kind of a spike in what we're seeing with cybersecurity. I know that the service center sent out some emails here lately that they're seeing a spike on people trying to take advantage of the situation that we're moving to a lot of online things. So cybersecurity is certainly something that we're trying to look at and make sure that we've got things in place on training. On that note, we had talked about possibly doing the cybersecurity training at the board meeting in May. I think that might be, I don't know, it might be difficult to do under the current circumstances. So what we're going to try to do is Mr. Burfeen's going to write up some instructions about how to do that through EduHero, and you'll actually use your Stamford ISD email account, and we might need to refresh on how to access that email account. But we'll send out some information on how board members can do that training online, just at their own convenience. That training is supposed to be completed by staff by May 22nd. I think for the board, it's early June, but we'll get that out to you, to the board members on that training. Again, it's a good training just for personal information, but it's also a good training for our staff. So food service, Mr. Chambers mentioned that briefly. Last time I reported to you, we had 157 meals. We're now up to 233, kids served. So 157 kids. We're now at 233 kids. So that's 233 breakfasts and lunches that they're serving to kids. And 63 of those are through the delivery that we do, and the rest are through curbside. So, I don't know on the revenue side how that's going to all work out. It's a labor of love. It's the right thing to do. And so, we'll just see kind of how that impacts our revenue. We were not real confident when it first started about revenue, and it's picked up a little bit. So hopefully it will not impact our revenue as significant as we once thought. On weekend meals, we're hearing that they're starting to possibly reverse course on reimbursement for weekend meals. So there's a possibility. Hopefully we'll hear something maybe this week about that. I think there's actually been a verbal approval from USDA, but they don't have it in writing yet. TDA doesn't, but hopefully they'll reverse course on weekend meals, and we'll start serving weekend meals again. And so as soon as I have that information, I'll get that out to everybody, but hopefully that'll change here fairly soon. We do plan on moving forward with the renewal with Aramark. I think they've done a really good job. I think they've stepped it up certainly during this time, and so we do plan on moving forward with the renewal with Aramark for the upcoming year. Budget and economy, TEA has not said a whole lot about budget. Commissioner early on was saying, you're going to get money. Don't worry about it. Just, do what you normally do. Glenn Hager, the Texas comptroller, if you're watching some of his comments, are a little more cautious, I would say. He's making some advising on spending and personnel just within state agencies. And so, obviously, public education is a large percentage of the state budget. So, during this economy downswing right now, I do suspect at some point that's going to affect the budget. I just don't know what that's going to look like. And, we're not going to approach that with panic. If you've been around this business for a while, this is kind of what happens. And this happened in 2011 when I was in Ballinger, and, you just approach it of start looking at what you need versus what you wanted. You start looking at what's essential. And so, we're not going to panic at this point. We're going to be conservative moving forward and looking at budget and revenue. And we've already kind of started looking at that a little bit, but again, there's no sense to panic over it because we really don't know. There's not a whole lot of information out there on how this is going to impact school. So really what we do is we're just going to start planning conservatively for the future. On accountability for next year, what does that mean for us now that they've basically frozen accountability ratings? So we're not going to get a rating for this year. So we'll basically get the rating for next year. And so what does that mean for middle school specifically? And what I will tell you is that we know that they're going to be in school improvement. We just don't know what that school improvement is going to look like. That's the big question. About 80% of accountability is based on growth. And I'm not sure how they're going to measure growth considering that there was no test given this year. So in order to measure growth, you have to have a prior year of data. So not really sure how that's going to pan out. We do know that the middle school will be in school improvement again for next year, just not sure about the process of that. So, and then the same for Oliver in the high school, their ratings will stay the same as well. So, bad weather days, again, this past Friday, we had at-home instruction. And then on May 15th, whether we're in school or at home, we'll move forward with instruction then as well. Hopefully we'll be at school at that time. Waivers, there's going to be several waivers that will come up that we'll need to apply for. Obviously one is on tonight's agenda, but there'll be other waivers that will come up on attendance and closed versus closed instruction, low attendance waivers. So there's a resolution out there from TASB that we may look at for next board meeting. And basically it's just delegating the authority to the superintendent as those waivers come up that I would go ahead and submit those to TEA on behalf of the district. We'll look at that for next board meeting. It kind of came out at the end of last week and I didn't want to just throw it on the agenda, but obviously with the way we're doing instruction right now, there will be some waivers that we'll need to apply for through TEA. We're going to be seal coating and restriping the parking lot at the high school probably next week. Still working with those guys on that. That was a project that we've actually had kind of on the books for several months now. And I actually reached out to them and we missed phone calls and they called back and they asked if we could move it up. And just because we're not sure what the summer is going to look like, that this might be a good time to move that up. So they're going to seal coat the front of the front horseshoe at the high school, and then the back part by the tennis courts. If you've driven back there lately, you know that it needs we need to get on that pretty quick. We've got some spots there that are starting to come up, and they'll patch those spots and then seal coat and restripe the parking lots. We've got a safety and security meeting on Thursday with that committee. Thursday at 1:00 by Zoom. We'll be talking about a few things. I'd hope to talk more about the emergency operations plan and some updates, but both of the trainings for that I needed to attend have both been rescheduled. One in February due to weather, and then the second one due to the current situation that we're in. So we'll talk about some other things. That'll be our second meeting of the year, and then our district site-based meeting will be Wednesday, April 29th at 1:00, and we'll look at comprehensive needs assessment and District of Innovation. We'll look at that. Anyways, we'll look at a few things at that meeting. So again, that's all I have besides just the shout out again to the staff and just how hard they've been working. Again, it's been inspiring just seeing how much they've done in such a short amount of time. And you think about, we've really done 3 weeks of instruction, and that, there's some schools, as y'all probably know, that are just now kind of rolling out some online instruction, and we've been doing it now for 3 weeks. I think that's a testament to our staff and how hard they worked in those few days that we had to plan, and really got a really good instructional support system out there and continuity out there for our students. And like Mr. Chambers said, I think this is kind of a week where they're kind of looking back and debriefing after 3 weeks and looking at pacing and monitoring and adjusting and trying to get to reach out to some kids and see where we are. But again, just a shout out to the entire staff on what an amazing job they've done over the past 3 weeks of transitioning to at-home instruction. So any questions about anything that I've talked about?
No, I would just echo what you said. It's been amazing to me. The teachers, I hear conversations with my kids, and they've done a tremendous job. We get a phone call at least once a week checking in to make sure that our kids have what we need. And so I just appreciate that. I appreciate how hard everybody's worked. And Will and Stacy, I know y'all are putting in countless hours because things are rolling hot off the presses. Sometimes it changes every 2 hours. And so shout out to y'all as well, because it has been a crazy, crazy time. And I think I said a while ago, I never want to see this again. So, but please pass that along, because it's been, for what all's gone on, it has been, it's been great, more than I could have ever dreamed. So thanks to everybody. All right, consent agenda.
Strike C.
Okay, strike C.
And our budget amendment is the insurance recovery money that we have received so far.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Got a motion by Callie.
Second.
Got a second by Curtis. Any further discussion? Call for a vote.
Jennifer Cadell,
Yes.
Callie Mettler,
Yes.
Curtis Birdsong,
Yes.
Lynn Baker.
Yes.
I don't think Eric has joined us, has he?
No.
Eric Strand, we're going to say, is absent. Kerry McClintock
Yes.
and Justin Corzine.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the resolution of the board policy, or resolution of the board regarding policy EIA, local, EIC local, and EIE local.
Just real quickly, a couple things on this one. I'll start with EIC local. EIC local is on class ranking. And so basically that's just for our seniors at this point. And it's moving it from the 5th 6 weeks to the 4th 6 weeks. That was the last 6 week where we had grades in regular instruction. So that is for seniors. EIA and EIE basically is talking about required grades and requirements for retention and promotion. Basically, this gives us some flexibility to address that, and then each campus has put out a grading policy that fleshes that out a little bit more specifically. But this resolution just basically gives us the ability to do that. Any questions about any of that? Our thought again has been to, and I've said this several times in several emails, but the thought is to give our kids some grace, but also still hold accountability, and that's a fine balance that we're trying to work with. But this is a tough time, and we're all in it's been said millions of times, we're in uncharted territory here. And so we're trying to give the kids some grace with that, but also we do have to make sure that they master the content. So some accountability as well. So any questions about that?
I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution regarding policy EIA, EIC, EIE local.
Got a motion by Justin. Do I hear a second? Carrie, is that you?
Yeah.
Got a second by Carrie. Any further discussion? Call for a vote.
Jennifer Cadell,
Yes.
Callie Miller,
Yes.
Curtis Birdsong,
Yes.
Wynn Baker,
Yes.
Eric Strand is absent, Carrie McClintock,
Yes.
and Justin Corzine.
Yes.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the educator appraisal waiver.
So we're required to give principals and teachers under Chapter 21 contract, we're required to give them an appraisal. Obviously, with the current situation, we may not be able to complete those, and basically this waiver allows us to not complete those and some of them have already been completed, just depending on when they scheduled their observation and their summative conference. But if they haven't, then this gives us the flexibility to not complete those.
I would entertain a motion.
I make a
Make a
motion,
motion.
education approval waiver to be accepted.
Got a motion by Gwen. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Callie. Any further discussion? Call for a vote.
Jennifer Cadell,
Yes.
Callie Mettler,
Yes.
Curtis Birdsong,
Yes.
Wynn Baker,
Yes.
Eric Strand is absent, Carrie McClintock,
Yes.
Justin Corzine.
Yes.
Okay.
One more comment on that I forgot to, I apologize. We did put that out to our district site base committee in an email. There's 27 members of that. Not everybody's voted. The 20 that have voted, they all voted yes for it. So it was 100% of those that voted to agree with that. So.
All right. I believe we are going to convene into executive session.
Yes. So you should have the link that I provided. So we'll move over to that.
All right. Okay, it is, I've got 6:46. We are back in open session. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before I do, I'd just like to say that I've enjoyed being a part of all of y'all. I think we have a great board, and also welcome Zach along, and just wish y'all the best. Gonna miss y'all, but anyway, with that, I will make that motion one more time, I guess.
Oh, Carrie. You know, you still have to come back next month for a short time.
A little bit.
I know, but I can't adjourn that one.
You're right.
I don't think he's missed any, has he?
I don't think he Carrie, we can always count on you. Always dependable. So do I hear a second?
I guess I second.
All right. Call for a vote.
Jennifer Cadell,
Yes.
Callie Mettler,
Yes.
Curtis Birdsong,
Yes.
Wynn Baker,
Yes.
Eric Strand is absent, Carrie McClintock,
Yes.
and Justin Corzine.
Yes.
Right. It is 6:47 and we are adjourned.
Thank you
Thank
all
y'all.
very
Have a
much.
great night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.